everyone. Welcome to our first ever episode of FuelMade's D2C Inspiration Series, where we're partnering up with experts in the industry to interview founders of leading brands. My name's Tina. I lead marketing here at FuelMade, a Shopify agency that specializes in custom development and design, growth strategy, and Klaviyo email and SMS marketing. Here with me is our director of email marketing, Lisa Oberst, and Braxton Manley, the co-founder of Braxley Bands. Braxton, thanks for joining us.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
Awesome. Lisa, I'm going to pass the mic over to you now.
Sweet. Thank you, Tina. Braxton, it's such a pleasure to have you here with us today. And I'm going to start by sharing a little bit of background info. So I lead the email marketing team here at FuelMade. And together we've been working with Braxley Bands for at least 2 years now, I believe. And we've been having a ton of fun with a super creative brand. So I'm really excited to dive into the strategies that have helped you build a really strong community of loyal followers. But first, I'm going to ask you, Braxton, I'd love to hear a little intro about yourself and about Braxley Band as well.
Yeah, so my name is Braxton Manley. I am an Austin, Texas native and was really surrounded by a lot of interesting entrepreneurs and people just kind of choosing alternative lifestyles here, which I always really loved. And I always loved fashion. And when I got to college, I had a class project where I had to basically come up with a business idea with a $20 budget. And I had just gotten an Apple Watch Generation 1 for my birthday. It was like 2016. And I didn't really like the band on it because it wasn't stylish. So I decided for this business idea, for this class project, to make a cooler Apple Watch band, essentially. And so the concept has evolved, but also it's pretty much stayed the exact same. It's just to make cool Apple Watch bands, essentially.
That's awesome. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a little detour here and talk about this awesome party that you guys launched a few months back. I believe the theme was around the 70s. And yeah. I heard it was a wild success. Unfortunately, my invitation must have gotten lost in the mail. But
I know.
Yeah.
Next one.
Right, exactly.
Well, FuelMade team's flying in.
So the reason I'm mentioning this now is because this to me is a real, it really illustrates how you've built a brand, like a cult brand that's been able to not just be about bands, but be about so much more. So I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit, just some context on this party, and then we'll dive into that.
Yeah. Okay. I have to try to do this in a succinct way because I could just talk about this giant concept of what I was trying to do. But basically, Austin snowpocalypse. This was January, February. There was a period of a week where everybody lost power and water, and it was just a nightmare here in Austin. I was on my own, and I was just trying to, it was kind of creatively, it was actually kind of amazing because I was able to go to the depths of what I was wanting out of my career in life, I guess. And I realized great design is three-dimensional. So it starts with function, then style, and then depth and inspiration and meaning. And that's the hard one to tackle. And so with these bands that we threw a party for, essentially it was called the Optimist Capsule. So while it felt like the apocalypse was happening, I was designing these bands that said there's feel peace, there's be good, there's live the dream, and there's know your power. And so they were really inspired by the hippie movement, psychedelic renaissance of the 70s. And we then, once we got them made, through a 3-part activation that was basically a photo shoot in disguise. So we got all the bands and we invited a bunch of entrepreneurs and sort of culture shifters in Austin. And the idea was, coming out of the pandemic, coming out of the snowpocalypse, what do we want this city to look like? And sort of make all these connections with new people here, because a lot of really interesting people are gravitating to Austin. So the theme was like, it was a costume party though. So everybody had to dress up and everybody there was a model. And we had this band named Acid Carousel play like their first show since COVID started. So for a lot of people, it was their first concert. And it was just like, it came together in such an incredible way. Like, I can't believe how cohesive everything ended up being and how well it worked. The content was like totally on point, and it's still like featured on our website. At the bottom we have a whole gallery of the shots. So yeah, and like what's the most rewarding part about it is like not just the, I guess, connections made there, but like really showing people like with these bands, like you can wear it like almost like it's like a wearable mantra. Like it's not just a comfortable, stylish band. It's also something that can like remind you, you know, hey, like be good. And like, what is the impact at scale of thousands of people wearing a reminder like know your power on their wrist, almost like a tattoo. And so that's where I really wanted to go with it. And we're going to keep expanding on that somehow.
That's super exciting. So you've spent years cultivating a cult brand in a sense. And how do you think all that work was able to lead to that very successful party that you launched?
Yeah, I mean, I think we had built up a sort of reputation of like we do things in kind of a like maybe like some brands would see as like a reckless way. Like we are like currently giving out like free bands for Halloween, which like doesn't really make sense for us as far as revenue goes, but I don't care because it's I get the reward out of seeing these hilarious people actually choose their Halloween costume this year to be a watch band that has, you know, my name on it. So
right.
We had our first one this morning, and I was just laughing because it's so goofy, but you know, I
Let
get
me
a great deal.
Let me give some context for Tina. So Tina, what Braxley Band is doing is they're asking their audience on Instagram and social media to basically dress up as a Braxley Band. And then I think the audience gets to pick who has the best costume, and then that costume wins a band. Is that it, Braxton?
Everybody who participates in a like legit way. Like we didn't, it's not an easy way to set like strict regulations around what is
a band costume.
Proper Braxley Band costume, but like we're just trying to be cool, like be cool with people, and you know, be like if you dress up as a band, we'll send you one for free, and then basically we're gonna pick a top 5. The audience will vote on the top 5, and then the winner gets the Apple Watch 7.
Oh, cool. Okay, that's incredible. You're able to get people to dress up as your product.
yeah, that's amazing, and just so like creative too, honestly. But like to have people like to have this loyal following that is, you know, so engaged that way that they're willing to dress up as a Braxley band for Halloween. I'd love to know, like, how did you nurture those super strong relationships to even get to that point?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that
maybe some marketing strategies to kind of help you with
yeah, it has to do with like really solid brand voice and like something that people are sort of resonating with in a way that like we're trying to do something unique. I don't even really know, but like that's what FuelMade's been amazing for, is like the emails and the texts we send out are different. Like people get them and I think want to open them because it's funny. And so I think it's just about like having a brand style and voice that is something that people are entertained by, and you know, like humor is like the easiest way to someone's heart. So it's like just trying to make people laugh and, you know, overall like bring joy to people, and then I think they'll just like want to be a part of that.
Yeah, I remember a couple of years ago when the FuelMade web team launched your new website with the new branding. It made a lot of noise. It was super exciting. Like I remember I hadn't really interacted with your brand yet, but everyone on the team was like, "Oh my God, look what we just launched. It's so cool." And people on social media were commenting about it. It was super groovy, retro inspired, and like just super fun, as you said. Like it has little touches of like feel good content that just are there because why not, which I love. And maybe you can tell us a little bit about like how you came up with that inspiration.
Yeah, so I actually do have a solid sort of like inspiration for it, like for why we went with this way. So it's supposed to be like almost evocative of early era Apple, and like paying homage to like retro Apple, which I think like when I think of like the 80s, and we've kind of just played around with all these different decades of like retro vibes or whatever, but when I think of like early era Apple and like what that really meant, like that, I think that in a lot of ways, like that's what our bands are to the watch. It's like early era Apple was counterculture, and it was all about creativity and empowering creators, and they used a lot of things that like define pop culture, and that kind of I mean, you know, it was very colorful and it was very artistic, and we, you know, I saw the bands as being that for the watch. It's like a blank canvas, and it's something that can really make the Apple Watch a piece of art. And so I just was kind of inspired by that era in Apple, and I was like, this is like a cool way to go with it, like make it feel like something that is so modern. It's a juxtaposition of like something that's like cutting edge modern, the Apple Watch, with something that's a little more nostalgic.
Mm-hmm. And do you think that helped build a strong connection with the people who follow you today?
I think so, because it's interesting. There's a million like brands out there that are just trying to be the most modern brand in the world. And I think there's something fun about playing with
the past.
The past, yeah.
I love that. I know, like, when I've had conversations with people in the past about, you know, what brands have really cool branding that inspires you, Braxley Bands always comes up in conversation. So it's working. And, you know, one thing I wanted to ask you about that is, like, what have you learned personally from engaging with your customers using this unique brand voice over the years?
Well, it's hard to be consistently funny. And not everything will land, but I think like what's important is like you can't really be funny to everybody. Like a lot of the things we send out with FuelMade is like it's so niche, right? It's like such a niche reference. Like half the people probably don't get it, but you have to just kind of send out what's funny to you, knowing that like it's twice as funny for the half of the people that get it, because it's such a niche reference that it makes up for the other half that don't understand the reference at all. So I would say don't be afraid of losing some of your audience on a harmless joke, you know? It's like they're still gonna like that you're trying stuff, I think.
Yeah, it sounds like it's really important to, you know, just really know who your audience is and actually hone in on that over, you know, trying to maybe reach everyone. I think you've done a good job with that for sure. And, you know, like speaking of like email marketing too, like how do you think the communication you've been sharing with your audience over email has kind of helped build that loyal following too?
I think that, well, we have a lot of different synergistic sort of strategies in place. Like, you know, we're like, when it comes to our paid traffic, that's really like, sure, we're paying to convert, but really we're paying for people to get on our email list and on our text list. And then hopefully from there, they'll figure out a way to get on our Instagram and TikTok, and all these different channels are just trying to support each other. I mean, I think that's like the way to win in 2021 is to like, you have to kind of master all the channels. Like, it's not about just like spending money on ads anymore. It's about like having the perfect flow on emails. Once you spend this crazy amount now on, say, an Instagram ad, like it'll only work if everything else is in place, and everything else will like, you know, add value to them, and ultimately, like, I guess also extract value from them, you know, because it's a different game now.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know, did that go off topic?
No, it's
Okay.
Honestly, like with all the iOS updates and everything going on with that right now, I think like that's what we've been seeing from a lot of people is you can't just rely on paid ads at this point. Like you said, you really have to master all of your channels. I think that's like so important.
Yeah. It's definitely hard to keep people engaged. So I think definitely the the move is to like try and figure out how to give them entertainment or value. Like it can't just be it can't just be like you're advertising to them. So I think that's like our strategy there is like, okay, so we sell Apple Watch bands, but we can't just have everything be like, whoa, like look, these are so comfortable. Like people are like, we get it, I know they're comfortable, but it's like, okay, so here's like Apple Watch hacks, you know, so get people like educate people on how to use their device better, or you know, like the Halloween costume contest thing, like entertainment and like giving people like something fun to interact with the brand with. So I think it's really key, especially like with organic stuff, is to either add value or entertainment to people. Otherwise, they're not going to care.
Yeah, and you guys do that in a lot of different ways. Do you have any specific email that comes up in your mind as one of your favorite ones for a fun strategy to share with people? I'm kind of putting you on the spot here. You have so many entertaining emails.
The first one that came to mind, I think I was originally like, this is too far out, but then we decided to keep it anyway. But it's like doing a quiz to find your band. I mean, and it's just like it's like a tree diagram thing, you know, and it's absolutely ridiculous and super quirky. But it's just fun because it's like, it's interactive. It's like, oh yeah, okay, like, you know, I don't even remember. It's like, what is your favorite TV show? Saved by the Bell or Fresh Prince? And then, you know, from there you go down. Okay, what is, you know, like
your favorite drink to drink on the beach or something? I don't know, exactly. But like totally, yeah, it doesn't make any sense, but it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, love that. And I mean, that's probably one of the emails I really enjoy showing, but I always want to show off the Braxley Band emails. Like I have to refrain from just writing a zillion case studies on your emails so that I can just show them off. So I'm working on that. But so have you noticed, because you've been putting a lot of effort in email marketing and SMS marketing also lately. So have you noticed a different interaction with customers since putting all that effort in that communication?
Definitely. I mean, well, I think we've always tried to do that. It's just like, it kind of changes now that we were at such a, you know, larger scale business. Early on, like we were able to just like have one-on-one interactions with every one of our customers and, you know, kind of do it that way. And as we grow, it's a little different, right? Because we have to keep that same voice, even though I'm not necessarily the one replying to the customer service request. So I think that, yeah, I mean, it has changed, but overall we've definitely like tried to keep that essence there as much as we can, where it's just like we are being authentic, like ourselves, like really trying to help people out. I mean, we like just started thinking about like, oh yeah, we should actually just like, we should publish a warranty, because like honestly, like ever since now, if anybody had a problem with their band, we would just like replace it for them, because we're just like, well, we don't want, like if your band like for whatever reason like had an issue, we're just gonna, we'll take care of you, like it's all good, we don't want you to have that happen. And so now it's like, okay, well, like it's silly that we like we're doing that and then not actually like telling anybody we were doing that. But like I think that's just kind of like speaks to like who we are as a brand, where like we're trying to see everybody in a sense like as our friends. Like we say like join the band, like it's, you know, it's a collective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's a great point. If you're giving all that value, might as well advertise it and show it off and tell people that you are going to be treating them that way, because that's what you believe in. And you mentioned your voice, like how you've been developing it a little bit from the beginning. And I remember in the very beginning of the project where your brand was maybe a little bit more on the goofy side, maybe a little bit more like dad jokes. And since then you've been refining it, and together we've been refining it too. And how did you decide to change your voice and how to change it? And was it influenced by your interactions with customers, and how are those working out?
Well, I think really like I think we've refined it together. Like I think I was trying to figure out what to call it or like how to explain it. And I think ultimately we're like Ryan Reynolds humor. Like that's what we want, you know. but
Yeah.
but like, yeah, I think we still do throw some good dad jokes out there, but
Yeah.
it's just like, it's something that you just try to craft. I mean, comedy is definitely an art, and I think I've gotten better at that myself, like, my copywriting ways or caption writing, however to do that over the years. So yeah, I mean, when we were first starting to, come up with the brand vibe, we were juniors in college, and it was everything, like, people were going to these corporate job fairs, and we're like, heck no, that is, like, we were trying to be the opposite of like corporate, all these brands that like just seemed to me like very, like, I mean, not what I wanted out of my youth. And so we were just trying to be very youthful, and like trying to get away with stuff that some of these brands that, these corporate job fairs could never do.
Yeah, I think that's what's attractive to your audience, is that you don't care. Like, you cross some lines, you're very authentic, and like you're happy to show it off, and you're kind of growing with them in a sense, like kind of your voice has matured, I guess, with your audience a little bit, maybe.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's always so interesting. I always I have the same issue as Lisa. Every blog post I write, I'm like, okay, which Braxley Bands emails can we show off in this? They're just
Amazing.
so much fun. But I know you also dabble into SMS marketing too, and these days, like, that channel is just equally as important as email. So, I'd love to ask you, like, how are you using SMS to complement your email strategy? Have you like noticed anything interesting with your results?
Yeah, we're still trying to figure it out, and I think it's something we're definitely improving at every time we send another one out. But so we've tried some things where we kind of like adapt an email campaign for a text campaign, and that does do well. And I think, just like, in addition to that, though, we need to continue to like adjust it in a way where it sounds like it's a text. Like, it's like, act like you're on the platform you're on. I think so many people send SMS campaigns that should really just be emails. And it's about, I think, being a lot more personable and casual, and just kind of shortened to the point, but also you got to have that value there. It's that's what everybody says, right? It's like a vulnerable channel, because you're hitting somebody in like a very, almost like, it's a more private place, and so it's about like respecting that, and not just over sending, or just sending stuff that nobody wants to see, because I mean, it'll ruin the platform for everybody if all these brands are just cluttering everybody's inbox with a bunch of junk. So one thing that I do think is important that we're about to roll out is having the audience save your number as a contact. I think that's super key. So that way we stop seeing all these random numbers, and like the new Apple update, like they organize unknown messages into its own tab, and that's where everything goes now, really, because unless you have the contact saved. So I would definitely leave everybody with that, because I'm excited to see how that does for us. Basically, just makes it more of a humanistic,
like your
approach
friend in their phone, not just
exactly.
a brand. Yeah, and you're moving over to shortcode as well, which is super important, just to make sure that people answering you don't get an answer from customer service from maybe someone else, I mean, short codes is just going to actually be able to make you have that personal interaction with them, and have a better communication. So I'm excited for that as well. Coming up. And I mean, SMS is relatively new, but you've been seeing a lot of great successes there. And email marketing, I believe your revenue is between like 30-40% of revenue coming from email. So like you've been doing a really great job there with both automations and campaigns. Any big major success or learnings that you want to share with the audience?
I just gotta say, like, everybody seems to be freaking out about the iOS changes, and Instagram getting so much more expensive, and all these things. It seems like there's a lot of disruption and a lot of brands that are actually, maybe going out of business or very like struggling financially. And I just got to say, like, I think it's important to tell people, like, invest in your own list. Like, email and SMS is something that you essentially own. Like, you're not at the I don't know what you would say. Like, if Instagram decides to completely change the way it is, to where, I mean, it already is happening. Like, we don't get as much engagement on Instagram as we used to. And if that was everything that we ever tried to do, we would be having a really hard time right now. And so own channels are key. So, like, I don't think email and SMS are going anywhere. In fact, I think it's probably going to be, like, more and more so the future. And don't sleep on them, because it's definitely, like, our most profitable channel. So it's what keeps us in business, essentially.
Awesome.
Yeah, I agree with you more there. And kind of speaking of, like you said, email's the future, and I think that's so true. Do you have any idea of where you're planning to go in the future with your email strategy, if you can share anything there?
Yeah, I mean, it's really just sort of unpacking that whole, it's not really a formula, right? But just like value and entertainment. Like, I think it's so key to keep cultivating those and, like, keep finding new stuff to talk about. But it's tricky because it's a very simple product, and it's not like we can keep being like, more Apple Watch hacks. Like, there's only so many things you can hack on your watch. But, like, we kind of do stuff on the fly too. And I do have a lot of random ideas, to mess around with people and stuff. But I mean, it's just about giving people stuff that they actually want to see, or, makes them happy. And simple as that, really.
Awesome. All right. Well, I was going to wrap it up with asking you if you have any general email marketing or just life tips that you want to share with our audience before heading off.
Okay. So I've been actually trying something that I think it's more under the life tip category, but I'm trying to structure my days to where I wear, like, a different I'm a different expert each day. So, like, I got my I'm chief marketing officer one day, and then, like, I am, like, product designer another day. I'm, like, CEO another day, and there's other people in the company. It's not me literally doing everything, but, like, the roles that I specialize in and that are on my plate, like, I'm trying this new thing where each day is like I'm devoting the entire day to, like, that role. And because in the past, what I did was, like, I just kind of just crammed everything into a single day, but then I would end up spending most of my day checking my email inbox, because it's, like, shallow work and it's, like, sort of easy reactive stuff. So anyway, I'll report back, but this is what I'm trying this week. And today's my marketer day, so I'm going to make some content for TikTok and come up with some new email campaigns with y'all and improve some of these Halloween ones.
That's awesome. You'll have to give me your schedule so I hit you up with questions that are relevant to your role for the day.
Yeah, right. Like, sorry, you're gonna have to wait a week for that one to get into.
Okay, fine.
That's super awesome. And honestly, such a great tip for, other founders who are probably wearing all sorts of different hats in their business. So Braxton, thank you so much. This has been amazing. We appreciate you coming and sharing your story and key insights on nurturing customer relationships. But before we wrap up, where can people follow Braxley Bands?
Pretty much everywhere. I would say the best place that is kind of a new thing for us is TikTok, though. We're putting out some cool stuff there, so check out Braxley Bands TikTok, Instagram, of course, and that's it, really. You know where to find us.
Sign up for the email list.
Yes.
Also
sign up for the email list. Yeah, sorry, that's why I'm here. To do that. Yeah.
Amazing. And for those that are listening in, we actually have an ebook with all of these experts that we're interviewing for this series. It's free to download for anyone that's listening. So you can dive into key metrics, tips, stories from every brand that we're chatting with. So I will link to that in the comments. We're giving it away for free. And yeah, so we'll see you at our next episode. But again, thank you, Braxton.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you all so much.